I run my entire small business on one tab of my computer because I hate the morning brain drain of sitting down, planning to get work done, but then spending so much time trying to figure out what I should even work on. By the time I actually figure out what I'm supposed to be working on, the day is half over and I haven't even begun. As a small business owner, I couldn't afford all this wasted time, so I created this one tab in my browser where I can see all of the information I need to get my work done and make sure my small business stays on track. So today I'm going to show you how to set one of these up for your small business, starting with the beginner setup all the way to the advanced configurations that I find really helpful. And we're going to start off with step one, which is to centralize the tasks in your business, meaning pick one spot and every single thing that you actually need to do, not want to do, need to do, goes into this one dedicated spot. There are simple task management tools built into all the devices you already use. Your phone has a task tool, Google Workspace has tasks now, but if you're looking for a real, true task software you can use with your team, I actually have a comparison video up top that helps you pick which one's going to be best for you. Many of them are free to start using, so no excuses here. But our goal is that you have one dedicated spot you can log into at the beginning of the day and see all of your tasks, whether they were from Friday or they were written months ago. Once you have that down, we're ready to move on to step two, which is to start writing down recurring tasks you do. So as you go through your workday, I want you to notice things that you do again and again. Write them down as tasks on your to-do list. Now, I should say a lot of people, when they create tasks incorrectly. There's actually a correct 4-part formula for how to create a perfect task. You can watch this video to make sure you're doing it correctly. Our goal here for these recurring tasks is to get the things that you regularly do out of your head and have them pop up regularly on this to-do list without you having to lift a finger. So for example, if every morning you check social media, we would want to create a task called check all social media platforms. We want to have it recur every day. If every Tuesday you film a YouTube video, for example, we want to have a task that says film one YouTube video. We want to have it recur every Tuesday. Now be patient with yourself as you start to write down these routines. You're going to have, as a small business leader, anywhere between 60 and 80 recurring things on average for your small business. And if that feels like a lot and you're like, oh my gosh, I could never think of that many things, rest assured you are already thinking of them. You're already doing them. We're just trying to write them down. However, if you need some help jogging your memory, I'm going to put a resource in the description below. It's 109 SOP examples. It's topics that many businesses want to have standard operating procedures for. But what it can also help with is identifying these common areas, because things that you do often tend to have a standard operating procedures. You can find those list of topics in the description below, and it'll probably help you identify what some of those routines are if you're struggling a bit. Now, speaking of difficulty, on step 3, this is where things get a little bit tougher. What we're going to do now is start writing down the things that we do that do not recur. So whenever a task comes up and we think of, ooh, I need to do that, we're going to add this to this running to-do list. The reason I say this one is tricky is what tends to happen here is people start writing down every task they wish they could do. And hate to break it to you, but as a small business, we can't do everything we want to do. We have to choose, we have to be selective, we have to focus. So when we are writing things down here, we want to only write down things that we are actually committing to do, meaning we have time to do it, we have somebody who will do it, it will get done. That's what gets on this list. If you have things that you would like to do, oh wow, wouldn't that be wonderful? Feel free to put those in another area, such as an idea list, which I talk about up here, but they're not a task quite yet if you're not actually able to do it. Now, speaking of doing things, that brings us to our last step of this beginner phase, which is to make sure all of the tasks that you have created on this shared list have a singular person who's responsible for them. By default, most people, when they start writing things down, they think only of themselves. But if we want to see what's happening in our whole business from one tab, for people who have multiple folks in their business, well, we need to capture their work too. If Susie cleans the desk every Friday, we want to see that in here. If John takes out the trash every Tuesday, we want to see that in here. Other tasks or people in your team should all show up because this is one centralized source of truth for the entire business, not just one individual. And yes, this can be a great time to look critically at the things you're doing and see, do I need to be doing this or should I reassign some of them? But either way, we want to make sure we have one list of every action in the business, and that will round us out of this beginner phase of having one tab to run our business. But who wants to be beginner when you could be intermediate? If you are ready to keep going, These steps are going to build on that one tab we've created so far to make it even more powerful for those of you who want a bit more functionality. This phase is all about tracking overall business performance. And so the very first step in this phase is creating a spot for our key metrics. If you've ever had the misfortune of going to a hospital, you know that they have the kind of monitor by the side of the patient, and it beeps and it shows different numbers to show blood pressure and heart rate and this, that, and the other, to let people who are passing by or working with the patient clearly see the indicators of how is this person doing on the most important numbers for this person. What we're trying to do with these key metrics is essentially build that same kind of thing, but for the business overall. When it comes to creating key metrics, we're usually looking at between 3 to 8 numbers that we can look at on a regular basis to see, is the business winning or losing, failing or succeeding, growing or shrinking over the period of time. Because at the end of the day, the task stuff we talked about previously is how is our most valuable resource being spent, aka our time. Are we doing the things we say? This next level is about, are those things that we're doing the right things? Are they actually working? Here at ProcessDriven, we have long sworn by a very simple spreadsheet style metrics tracker that looks like this. It is something we fill in manually on a weekly or monthly basis, depending on the number. And yes, even though we could automate it, and we have in periods of time, we always track it manually because it forces us to take time to actually think about the numbers rather than just have some automation mindlessly punch them in. If you do not already have a key metrics tracker for your business, please go ahead and steal mine. I'll put a link to it in the description below. It's just a simple template, but allows you to track whether you're on track or not for whatever goals you set for your business. Once you have a key metrics tracker, make sure you add metrics that really paint the picture of whether your business is winning or losing. You can use your preferred AI tool of choice to help brainstorm these, but I can also give you some of ours here at ProcessDriven in case this helps. Number 1, the number of new email subscribers we have. This is essentially a measure of leads for us. Number 2, the number of sales calls we have, because that's a lead who's more interested and probably going to be working with us in one of our services. From there, we look at sales. So how much revenue do we bring in versus our goal? We also break that down by product for certain things. Beyond that, we look at expenses on a monthly basis. What are our expenses at versus what they're supposed to be according to our budget? And finally, months of runway. Months of runway is one that I'm really passionate about because I think if more small business owners measured this, we'd be a lot calmer and more stable option for employment. We calculate monthly runway by taking our total savings and dividing it by our average monthly expenses. So if on average our costs are $50,000 a month, we have $250,000 in our savings account, that means we have about 5 months of runway. Meaning if we got no revenue in at all, we'd still be able to pay our bills and employ our staff for 5 months, which is pretty good. But those are just the numbers that are helpful for me. Think about what actually tells the story of your business's success and add them into your key metrics tracker. From there, we just need to create routine tasks, back to what we talked about in phase 1, to actually fill in and review the metrics. So the routines I would suggest is number 1, fill in your weekly metrics. And if you do monthly, fill in your monthly metrics. Have those recur at the relevant cadence. The other routine I would add is one more for leadership that is every quarter, and it says review key metrics trajectory or something like that. The goal of this quarterly task is to have a leader review all of the metrics that are happening and see if it tells any stories. See if the numbers are trending in a negative direction. See if there's anywhere where we need to intervene. If you notice things that are either really good or really bad, it suggests you might want to take an action to either double down or intervene on something that's trending the wrong direction. And when you want to intervene, that brings us into the third phase, which I think puts you into the advanced territory, is to have a list, not just of tasks, not just of metrics, but of special initiatives. On this initiatives list, I like to keep a list of any special activities that we're going to be doing in the business, things to either double down or to correct an issue that might be faltering. These are things that are above and beyond normal work. They take a little extra time above our baseline, but they allow the business to push forward in some way. Some of the projects that we have here at ProcessDriven, if it's a helpful example, is writing a book on how to systemize small businesses. I literally have to work on the manuscript after I finish filming this video. That's a huge project. Another project is hosting our first operations conference this fall. That's a huge project. Another project is streamlining our guided service to make sure that the experience clients get has more touch points, more support, more proactivity. There's a bunch of small little things that we need to tweak to make the service better, and that's a project. But of course, not all projects are quite as exciting. I also put projects on there, or events, where they're activities I'm doing. For example, it might be attending a conference or attending a mastermind event. This is 2 days that I'm carving out to go do this special thing that should help the business in some way. It may not be a direct initiative or direct project, but in the same way, it's intended to shake things up and get the business to the next level. So think about your business. Do you have any events, initiatives, projects that are noteworthy that aren't written down anywhere? If so, this is your spot to put them. Once you have this one spot and you've started to add pieces into it, you kind of know what I'm going to say next. Step 2 is creating a routine. Yeah, that's how we do this. So create a routine once a year or once a quarter, up to you, that says plan out our next initiatives. That's it. So carve out time to plan these initiatives and events so that way this calendar is always up to date. When the actual project starts, that's when you might want to break this out into more detailed tasks. But for now, we're just focused on the initiatives themselves. This brings us to our 4th step, the step that brings everything together. If you've built the beginner piece of having all your tasks, if you've built the intermediate piece of having your key metrics, and you've built the advanced piece of making sure the projects and initiatives to change those metrics are tracked, we need to bring them all into one browser tab. In my case, I'm using ClickUp, so I just take the links to each of these things and I put them side by side as views inside my account. If you're using a different tool, like say Notion, you might just put the hyperlinks or embed the links on your page. If you're not using any software, you can simply use the bookmarks bar or the favorites built into your preferred browser. I know technically then it's not one tab, for you it might be 3, but it's still one click away for each of these points, assuming you have all 3 of them. Now, no matter whether you choose the beginner, the intermediate, or the advanced setup, the idea is the same, that no matter where you are in the world, what time zone it is, and where you happen to be working, you can click a button and see where things stand in your business. The amount you see will depend whether you're doing beginner, intermediate, or advanced, but no matter what, if you're using these systems, you will be able to see it. And at the end of the day, especially for those of us in a service space, doing knowledge work, or doing office work, our work is largely invisible. So until we can actually see it, it's very hard to systemize it, to spot inefficiencies, to delegate, to automate, to use AI, or to do any of the things we want to do to have a business that runs without us. And of course, if you want to systemize your business, we've got a ton of resources for free in the description below. Our key metrics spreadsheet, the SOP examples to help you figure out which kind of routines you might need, and so much more that you will find for free in the description while you're down there liking and subscribing, of course. But if you want a business that can run without you, but you're not necessarily ready for some free resource like that, check out this video here on the end screen. It is the ultimate guide to systemize your business, and trust me, when I say ultimate guide, I mean ultimate guide. Bring a notebook, take notes. It's 100% for free, one click away. And remember to enjoy the process.